In this intermediate Spanish lesson, we will take a look at some commonly used and very useful Spanish phrases. Some of these phrases are used to convince someone of something. Some explain the reasons for something. Some are used to say that someone has convinced you of something. Others are used to say that someone is wrong. And finally, the last set of phrases are used to say that someone is right. Please repeat each phrase with me to work on your Spanish pronunciation and to help you to remember the phrases better. First, let's look at some useful Spanish phrases to convince someone of something. If you want to say, "It's not that I want to tell you what to do, but..." In Spanish, you'll say to one person informally, "No es que quiera decirte lo que tienes que hacer, pero..." And if you want to say it formally, you'll say, "No es que quiera decirle lo que tiene que hacer, pero..." If you want to say, although you say something, I say to you that something else. In Spanish, you'll say, "Aunque tú digas something, yo te digo something else." Or formally, "Aunque usted diga something, yo le digo something else." If you want to say, "Despite that, don't you think that..." In Spanish, you'll say, "A pesar de eso, ¿no crees que...?" And formally is, "A pesar de eso, ¿no cree que...?" If you want to say, "Well," and if we look at it from another angle, in Spanish you'll say, "Bueno, ¿y si lo miramos desde otro ángulo?" If you want to say, "Yes, but from another point of view," in Spanish is, "Sí, pero desde otro punto de vista." If you want to say, "Please, pay attention to..." In Spanish you'll say, informally, "Por favor, fíjate en..." And formally is, "Por favor, fíjese en..." If you want to say, "I can give you 1,000 reasons why I think you must..." In Spanish you'll say, "Te puedo dar 1,000 razones por las que creo que tú debes..." And if you want to say it formally, you'll say, "Le puedo dar 1,000 razones por las que creo que usted debe..." And if you want to say, you have to realize that Spanish, informally, you'll say, "Tienes que darte cuenta de que..." And formally is, "Tiene que darse cuenta de que..." Let's see now some Spanish phrases to explain the reasons for something. If you want to say, "I base this on..." you'll say, "Me baso en..." If you want to say, "Let me explain to you," Spanish you'll say, "Deja que te explique." But if you want to say it formally, you'll say, "Deje que le explique." If you want to say, "It is like this, look." So one person informally you'll say, "La cosa va así, mira." And formally is, "La cosa va así, mire." If you want to say, you ask why? Well, look, due to the simple fact that Spanish is, ¿qué por qué? Pues mira, por el simple hecho de que... And if you want to say it formally, you'll say, ¿qué por qué? Pues mire, por el simple hecho de que... If you want to say, one by one, I'm going to give you the reasons why... Spanish you'll say, voy a exponerte una a una las razones por las que... And formally is, Voy a exponerle una a una las razones por las que... And if you want to say, these are the pros and cons that I have weighed up. In Spanish is, estos son los pros y los contras que he sopesado. Let's see now Spanish phrases to say that someone has convinced you of something. If you want to say yes, now I think about it, what you say is true. In Spanish you'll say, sí, ahora que lo pienso, lo que dices es cierto. And if you want to say the same thing formally, you'll say, sí, ahora que lo pienso, lo que dice es cierto. If you want to say, yes, I had forgotten about that, Spanish is, sí, me había olvidado de eso. If you want to say, okay, I agree with you, Spanish is, bueno, me pongo de tu parte. And formally is, bueno, me pongo de su parte. If you want to say, you have completely convinced me, Spanish is, me has convencido completamente. And formally is, me ha convencido completamente. If you want to say, yes, I didn't think of that, Spanish you'll say, sí, eso se me había pasado por alto. And if you want to say, sorry, I didn't think of that, in Spanish you'll say, informally, perdona, no había caído en eso. And formally is, perdone, no había caído en eso. Spanish phrases to say that someone is wrong are, if you want to say Spanish, you are doing everything wrong. In a very colloquial way, you'll say, vas fresco, to a man, and to a woman, vas fresca. Another way to say the same thing is, estás arreglado, to a man, and to a woman, estás arreglada. If you want to say, I have the impression that you are wrong, in Spanish you'll say, tengo la impresión de que estás equivocado. And if you are talking formally, you'll say, tengo la impresión de que está equivocado. If you are talking to a woman, you'll change equivocado for equivocada. If you want to say, I think that you are very confused, Spanish is, me parece que te has hecho un lío. Formally is, me parece que se ha hecho un lío. To say, don't say stupid things, Spanish is, no digas más burradas. Formally is, no diga más burradas. You're completely wrong, in Spanish is, te equivocas de medio a medio. And formally is, se equivoca de medio a medio. And if you want to say, you haven't got a clue what you are talking about, in Spanish you'll say, no tienes ni idea de lo que hablas. Formally is, no tiene ni idea de lo que habla. And let's see now Spanish phrases to say that someone is right. If you want to say, you hit the nail on the head, Spanish is, has dado en el blanco. Formally is, ha dado en el blanco. You can also say, has dado en el clavo, or ha dado en el clavo. And another way to say the same thing is, has dado en el kit de la cuestión, o ha dado en el kit de la cuestión. If you want to say, I'm afraid that you are right, Spanish you'll have to say, me temo que estás en lo cierto. Formally is, me temo que está en lo cierto. To say, what you have said is indisputable. Spanish is, lo que has dicho es indiscutible. Formally is, lo que ha dicho es indiscutible. And to say, what you have said isn't that stupid. Spanish you'll say, lo que has dicho no es ninguna tontería. Formally is, lo que ha dicho no es ninguna tontería. And if you want to say, what good judgment you have, Spanish you'll say, ¿qué ojo clínico tienes? Formally is, ¿qué ojo clínico tiene? To say, of course, that is obvious, Spanish you'll say, claro hombre, eso es de cajón. And if you want to say, you are absolutely correct, in Spanish you'll say, tienes toda la razón del mundo. Formally you'll say, tiene toda la razón del mundo. To speak Spanish well, you have to do more than just learn Spanish grammar and loads of individual Spanish words translated from Spanish to English. To speak and understand Spanish in a wide range of situations, you also need to be aware of typical Spanish phrases and expressions whose meanings are often impossible to work out by translation alone. There are certain Spanish expressions and phrases that you will hear a lot and they will stick in your head automatically. Others will take more work to remember them. It is really worth pushing yourself to learn 5 or 10 new phrases and expressions daily. As I have said many times before, be careful with translating literally from Spanish to English. Usually, the only way to fully understand a Spanish expression or phrase is to understand its use in Spanish. I know it is hard, but try to cast aside your native language and immerse yourself completely in Spanish. To speak Spanish well, you have to think in Spanish and understand the people and their culture. This, of course, won't happen overnight, but you will definitely get there with dedication and the right kind of study. Enjoy your Spanish studies and see you next time. ¡Hasta luego!